Canada has a civic problem when it comes to its mayors, and you're all being taken along for the ride. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. For all those who are new here to the channel who don't know what I'm doing, well, I uncautiously threw my hat into the ring last February when I made the announcement that I was going to run for mayor of the city of Calgary. Now, why would somebody like me as a YouTuber do something like that or do such a thing? Well, it's quite simple. City council in this town has gotten out of control. If you know anything about corrupt, woke, failed mayor Jyoti Gondek, who was also installed, I believe, the biggest problem with her is she has a spending problem. She has a massive spending problem and does what most politicians do in the federal position right now, which is spend, 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 and pass the costs on to the taxpayers. Well, it's now happening across Canada as we see Toronto now stating that their promises aren't going to be upheld either. Now, I'm going to focus a little bit on Calgary and what's happening and then move over to where this is a national problem and where you're going to see this become an issue around Canada as the year goes on. I've often said that 2024 is going to be a year where we should, quote, buckle up. And I think things are going to get fast and quickly out of control. I think that what people forget when it comes to civil elections, especially even provincial elections or federal, a lot of people sit on the sidelines and say, well, my vote doesn't matter. My vote doesn't count. This is part of the problem and part of the reason we're in these issues as a society is because people just choose not to vote. I know in Manitoba's recent provincial election, somebody had passed on an article to me that said something like 6% of the eligible voters in Manitoba were the only ones who voted in its recent NDP premier. And in Calgary, installed Mayor Jyoti Gondek won her election with a mere 175,000 votes total in a city of 1.7 million people. There are far more than 175,000 voters in the city of Calgary. So I guess people can sit back and say, well, you know, these mayors get installed. This is all part of the WEF plan. This is all everything else. The problem is that when people go out to vote, when people have receipts, when those who are running, much like you've seen with Donald Trump, question the likelihood of the results of an election, it's immediately slammed down and people are put in place. But hopefully at some point, as more and more requests for a look into these elections, a look into the corruption come forward, we can start getting a little bit of a span as to where we're headed and some accountability when it comes to its delegates. Now, in Calgary, when Jyoti Gondek became mayor of the city, she announced that the city was only going to be getting somewhere around a 2 to 3% tax increase in the year 2024. Well, I'm happy to report, sarcastically, that I know for myself, my property taxes went up almost $75 a month. At the end of December, I was told that as of January 1st, they were increasing my property taxes almost $75 a month. And Jyoti Gondek making the announcement after buying a $2 million structure, a $2 million sculpture, I should say, in front of a convention center, stating that, hey, it's not any longer going to be 2 to 3%. It's now going to be 8.9%. Now, a lot of people scoffed at that and said, well, that's over double what you promised. Well, I've said it before on the channel, and here it is in proof. I said, come January, that's the time of year when the mayors and the councilmen all vote on their own self-appointed raises. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Nice little article from CTV News. And the reason I wanted to show this article is because even the government-paid pundits are covering these stories. People are getting fed up with this type of irresponsible behavior, as Jyoti Gondek and City Council are getting an automatic 2.4% wage increase this year. Amid higher fuel taxes, soaring utility prices, costly groceries, and a spike in property taxes for many Calgarians, myself included, some are arguing that council should not have received the raise. I firmly believe, and I stated in my announcement video when I threw my hat in the ring for mayor, that city council should not be allowed to appoint their own raises, that an outside entity should judge based on performance. And I hate to say it, but if you're going to come in to run for a representative of the city, and you're going to say that, hey, I've had to more than double the promise that was made on property taxes, that is not good performance, and you by any means do not deserve any form of a raise. Quote, this is something they knew was coming. They also knew that Albertans are really struggling with affordability and there are increased costs that have hit them. Lori Williams, a public policy officer at Mount Royal University, said a few years ago, City Council at this time put the wage increase decision into the hands of an independent committee, which is the way it should always be, which takes Albertans' average weekly earnings into account. It's a result that committees work back in 2020 that is the increase that's being proposed. Calgary Mayor Jody Gondek says the mayor's new salary at $213,000, while city councilors will make $120,000. In November, City Council approved a 7.8% residential property tax increase. Sorry, I thought it was 8.9. That increase is one reason why former Calgary Alderman John Schmal sent a letter in December asking for council to call off the automatic raise. It's very irresponsible. They keep increasing the cost of living to live in a home. They should not be getting an increase based on their performance, Schmal said. This year marks the third straight year of increases for the mayor and council and follows 3 straight years where the previous mayor and council decided not to take raises. $213,000 a year. I can tell you right now, the mayor does not do enough work to justify $213,000 a year. That's only $75,000 roughly less, I believe. Again, forgive me for not having statistics on hand, but I believe that's roughly 75 to 85,000 less than Justin Trudeau makes as the Prime Minister of Canada. It is symbolic because every dollar they earn comes from taxpayers, Williams said. Some councillors are split on the raise. When compared to our peers at the provincial and federal levels based on population represented in workloads, I believe our compensation is fair, Ward 11 Councilman Courtney Penner said in a statement. Ward 13 Council Dan McLean disagrees with the increase after delivering another tough budget. 3 tax hikes, 3 pay raises, so I believe that a council that keeps raising taxes probably doesn't deserve a pay raise, McLean said. Gondek said it's too late to make changes, everyone, if that's what council decides. Or it's not too late, sorry. It's not too late to make changes. Now, of course, Jody Gondek putting that out there because the majority of the councilmen sitting on the city right now, on the city's onus, is liberal. They're all left leaning and they all support Jody Gondek. So, of course, they're not going to make the changes. So, of course, she's shuffling the blame over, going, hey, everybody, it's off me. Everybody can vote. You can have a vote and we'll happily change it. But she knows that that vote's not going to come. I'm absolutely open to doing something different, but I want to hear from my colleagues. I also think it's really important to hear from members of that committee, Gondek said. Council meets for the first time this year on January 16th, where the issue is expected to come up. The mayor said she has contacted council to get their perspective and wants to make sure members of the public know the details as well. Call me crazy. I think it's still going to go through. I don't think there will be a negative vote. Now, I'll be shocked if there is. If there is a negative vote where they say, hey, we're not going to take the raises, it's going to be purely by a PR aspect and backlash. It's going to have nothing to do with their views. But of course, we see that in Toronto now. Well, the same thing as Calgary. Toronto could see a double-digit tax hike. Here's how much property taxes are slated to go up across the GTA. Now, the interesting thing to note about Olivia Chow here, is that she still has millions of dollars to change Dundas Street and rename offensive properties rather than, decrease what her taxpayers are having to be obligated to. Homeowners may see a double-digit property tax increase this year, but how does that compare to the rest of the great GTA? On Wednesday, city staff released the first proposed budget of Mayor Olivia Chow's tenure, which includes a 10.5% property tax increase, one of the largest the city has seen in recent years. This tax rate includes a 9% property tax increase plus 1.5% bump to the city building fund. According to the budget chief Shelley Carroll, this means the average household in Toronto could nearly see a $360 annual tax increase. How does that compare to other cities in the GTA? The York region included a 2.5% tax levy increase and a 1% rapid infrastructure levy, according to the region, and it'll add about $105 a year. Vaughan is also seeing a 3% property tax increase for 2024. And the city says it adds up to an extra $4.55 on average per property monthly, so roughly $50 a year. As for Richmond Hill, 4.7% tax increase was approved, meaning those living in a detached home at an average of around 1.15 million are set to see a hike of $7.94 monthly, or roughly, again, to 80 to $90 a year. Markham has yet to announce its property taxes for 2024. However, Mayor Frank Scarpiti is expected to present his budget in a special council meeting on the 29th. The city had the lowest property tax rate in southern Ontario in 2023, according to a Zukasa report. The Peel region approved 4.5%, which is $245. They'll see an average in industrial buildings will see an average of 432 on their property tax bills. So again, it seems to be average everywhere outside of Toronto. But why is it that Toronto could go up almost 10%? Well, Dundas Street. It's very plain and simple. Dundas Street is the problem. The mayors and much what you're seeing in Calgary are bringing in liberal politics. They're bringing in liberal style politics in the federal government by saying, hey, we want all these things and we're just going to keep doing the things we want to do. There's no restrictions on money. Budgets will balance themselves. We just increase what the taxpayer is responsible for. Now, the problem with this is that people are already stretched to their limits. You see articles across the country of people saying parents aren't eating in order for their kids to be fed. There's countless and millions of people every month. I think it's about 2 to 3 million on average going to food banks across the country. And that number is steadily increasing as pigs at a trough like Olivia Chow and Jody Gondek continue saying, oh, it's okay, we can keep spending money. And nothing happens. This is a problem. This is a huge problem. And I've always said that if I were to get the mayor's chair, I'd treat it like my home, where, hey, if we don't have the money, we simply can't do it. And that's what mayors need to realize. And that's what provincial officials need to realize. This is what federal people need to realize, is that the money that comes into you is from a pot. It is from the taxpayers. And that money is to be used within the best interests of the taxpayers. And you were given a mandate, if you weren't installed like these two mayors, to represent the people. You are responsible for making the best decisions possible for the people of your constituency. If you can't do that, get out. Plain and simple. We shouldn't be wasting money on $2 million sculptures. We shouldn't be wasting money on renaming racist roads or whatever they want to pull out of their hats. I know Toronto is like a fart huffing community of SJWs that love this kind of virtue signaling. Let the left pay for it. Start telling the people in those communities, if you want the street names to change, you pay for the signs, you pay for the costs. I guarantee you their opinions would change very quickly on the subject if they were held responsible for those bills. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Is this something that's going to carry on to other cities? Are we going to see other mayors start to behave like this? Let me know your comments down below, and as always, make sure to do the usual YouTube stuff, like, share, subscribe, get it out there in the algorithm. We are always suppressed because we're a political channel here on YouTube. Your comments, your thumbs up on the videos help get us out there. So make sure to leave those. If this is your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. And as you're clicking that subscribe button, make sure to head over and click your bell for notifications. Join us live here on the channel every Sunday when we do our weekly wrap and talk about everything that's happened in the past week, everything coming up in the week ahead, and where we're headed going forward with a little bit of back and forth from the community. I always look forward to what you guys have to say in those live streams outside of the comment section, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you there. I look forward to seeing you again, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.